Beautiful day. I'm glad that we managed to escape the rain. Let me just get my notes from flying away here, and we'll get started. Comme toujours, je suis ici sur les territoires des Mississauga, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, et Huron-Wendat. As always, I'm here on the traditional territories of the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat. I'm also here in wonderful Moss Park. As I promised you, I would be taking you on a tour of the country, in fact, a tour of the world, just here in Toronto Centre. Moss Park is one of the most, it's really a city within the city. It's one of the most diverse places in Canada. We have many newcomers in this community. We have many frontline workers, many essential workers. Many of the things that our country is confronting now, you can see unfolding in this wonderful, resilient, and incredibly generous community. Nous sommes ici en Moss Park, en Toronto Centre, une communauté qui est tellement généreuse, tellement impliqués dans la vie de leurs voisins et voisines, une communauté incroyablement diverse aussi, avec beaucoup de nouveaux Canadiens et Canadiennes, avec beaucoup de travailleurs essentiels aussi, qui font le travail pour assurer que notre économie fonctionne pendant la pandémie. Today we are here I'm here to share some thoughts about where we head next as a country in terms of ensuring that people in communities like Moss Park are taken care of as we finally begin to emerge from the pandemic. And today is a special day for me, and it's actually a day when I was preparing my thoughts for today that was particularly poignant because my younger sister, is in the hospital as we speak, giving birth to her first child. She is my only sister, and we are a very close family. Today, my mother and myself would have loved to have been in the hospital to support my sister through her birth and to be there to greet a grandson and a new nephew. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that because even though some people seem to have forgotten, including the Liberal government, we are still in the midst of the fourth wave of a pandemic. And I can't go to the hospital to see my sister today. We're not allowed to be there. And we have seen so many families separated by this terrible virus that cannot celebrate these important moments together. That has not ended. And we have to make sure that something good comes of all of this. Les séparations des familles, les sacrifices, ça doit valer la peine au final. On doit assurer qu'il y a quelque chose de bien qui sort de tous ces sacrifices. And staying on the theme of my family, some of you will know that my father died during the pandemic. And again, because it was during the first wave of the pandemic, his family was not there at his bedside. He died an avoidable death from a treatable infection in long-term care in the first wave. And he is one of many who died in facilities that were understaffed, in facilities where the hard-working personal support workers, many of whom live in communities like this one, were overworked. My sister, who is in the hospital today and who will not be able to introduce her child to her father, when my father passed away, she called me in tears, and I've told this story before, and said to me, Annamie, we have got to do better. We have got to know what a life is worth. And so as we confront these unprecedented challenges of our time, and as we look to a future beyond the pandemic, this is the question that we must keep our minds fixed on. What is a life worth? Because we must make sense of this moment by taking the lessons learned to build a more resilient and just society and to ensure a life of dignity for everyone from their first day to their last day. This election to me is about that. It is about whether we are going to be able to ensure life with dignity for every person who lives in Canada. Because I've been sharing some numbers with all of you, and I'm going to share some more today and remind you of some. 15,000 plus deaths in long-term care. Over 15,000 deaths in long-term care. The worst record amongst wealthy nations by far. 17 drug poisonings per day on average, many of them which occur steps away from where I am standing now. 17 drug poisonings per day on average in Canada. Thousands of homeless, and if the cameras pivot in the other direction, they can practically see the encampment in Moss Park, where we have neighbors in our community that have nowhere to live and no community supportive housing. So 15,000, 17, and thousands more. We cannot allow these numbers to become commonplace in Canada. People in Canada have said they do not want to go back to the way things were, that we do not want to allow people to die avoidable deaths, that we do not want to push our planet to the brink and to leave our children's future in danger. We do not want people to go without jobs and without safe housing. We are waking up to the fact that if we continue to elect the same parties who have made the same old promises and hope for different results, that we can only expect more of the same. C'est le moment de faire un différent choix si on veut voir des différents résultats. And so the Green Party understands this. And as we talk about climate justice, and we will continue to talk about climate justice, we fully understand that there can be no climate justice without social justice. And to quote Nobel Prize winner Joseph Stiglitz and the former Chancellor of the Exchequer, Sir Nicholas Stern, any recovery, including a climate-friendly recovery, is unlikely to be implemented unless it also addresses existing societal and political concerns such as poverty alleviation, inequality, and social inclusion. So that is really just a more elaborate way of saying that there cannot be climate justice without social justice. The two must go hand in hand, and they must go hand in hand now. And so over the days to come, we will be talking in more detail about our plan for life with dignity in Canada. Today, I'll share some of what those elements are, because the Green Party of Canada believes that we have the chance of a lifetime, and we are offering the plan of a lifetime to lay the foundations for a better future for social care in Canada. These elements include long-standing green policies which have proven their worth throughout this pandemic. These ideas that we have put into the political discourse before the pandemic have shown proof of concept and would have had us better prepared had they been in place when the pandemic struck, and they will leave us better prepared in the future if they exist. First, and again in no particular order because these are all interconnected, we need a radical reform of long-term care in this country. Root to stem reform of long-term care in this country. We need to see long-term care reformed and wrapped into our Canada health system. We need a guaranteed livable income, something whose time has come. There is no patchwork system that will ever replace a guaranteed livable income, and as we exit emergency benefits, this is part of the solution. Affordable housing for all and an end to homelessness. This is absolutely something that is within our grasp, something that we have all the tools necessary to do as long as we can get the political will to put it in place, because housing is a fundamental right. And then the creation of new universal programs, because it is time to complete our social safety net. It is time to finish the unfinished business of so many years ago. This includes universal pharmacare, universal childcare, free post-secondary education, universal dental care, and any of the other universal programs that would ensure that people are protected from their first day to their last. Now, I recognize that there are those, well, I know, I've heard it, I've had the questions, why are you emphasizing the things, Annamie, that your party has in common with others? Well, my point is there is common ground. There is common ground on policies that matter. And many of our most cherished social programs came about through cooperation and collaboration, and often in minority governments. So let's stop pretending that we have nothing in common on the issues that matter most to people in Canada. There are lots of things that we disagree on, the climate being the number one, but there are areas of commonality. So let's get back to work. We had 2 years in order to get this work done. Let's get back to work as soon as possible and finish this unfinished business. Un revenu minimum garanti, une réforme de nos centres de soins de longue durée, de logements abordables pour tout le monde et un fin à les personnes qui vivent sans abri, des systèmes universels pour les médicaments, pour les garderies, pour l'éducation postsecondaire et pour le soin dentaire aussi. C'est tout à fait possible si on est ensemble, si on se rassemble avec un esprit de coopération et de collaboration. And so the COVID crisis has laid bare important gaps in our social system. All levels of government have a role to play. All levels of government can come together to do this important work. We are stronger together, and if we collaborate, as I said a few days ago, we have greatness in our grasp. A life with dignity for everyone in Canada is within our grasp, with political will, leadership, and the determination and ambition of the people of Canada, which is a fitting and lasting legacy for the pandemic. Thank you very much. You guys can do better than that.
From the ground, first question up is David Turton
sorry,
from
1 second. Let me get in my
CBC News.
My earbuds. Okay, there we go. Hello, David.
Hi, good afternoon, Annamie.
Afternoon.
I guess my first question is, we've seen indications that the NDP wants to bring in a guaranteed livable income. I believe the platform says that they're going to review the idea. Is that enough, or do we still, are we still in the process where we need to maybe run some more pilot programs and pilot projects about, whether or not a guaranteed livable income is the best way to address the ills in our society that you've spoken about?
Thanks for the question, David. And there's this Caribbean expression, and there are a lot of people from the Caribbean that live behind me here in Moss Park. You say, a time, When something's time has come, you say, a time, a time. And this is an idea whose time has come. It has garnered tremendous cross-partisan support. It is a policy that is supported by the membership through approved policy resolutions in our party, in the NDP, and also in the Liberal Party. We had 50 senators signing up to a joint request, a joint pledge for a guaranteed livable income. This is something that transcends party lines, exactly because we realize that after all of these years, after these decades of patchwork systems, we saw very clearly at the pandemic that we still have not accomplished the goal that we should be aiming toward, which is to ensure that every person in Canada is protected come what may and can have a life of dignity. And so there are models all over the world, and frankly, one of the things that Canada had been best at was looking to other examples and learning from them. If we learn from the models of other countries, we certainly can bring in a guaranteed livable income without too much of a delay. And we need to, because as I said, the benefits are drying up. The emergency benefits will go away and people will begin to fall through the cracks again. We can't allow that to happen, and guaranteed livable income is a part of that. So let's get together, let's discuss it with the provinces, let's see how we can make it happen. There's more than enough information now for us to move forward quickly. And I welcome the NDP to the Guaranteed Livable Income family. When I was speaking about Guaranteed Livable Income in the 2019 election, there were just crickets from the other parties. And this is an example of how the Green Party puts ideas out there that prove their worth over time and that move us forward in this country. We are the home for the innovative, progressive policy ideas. And so I say welcome to the NDP and let's get to work.
Part of the hesitancy from, going full-throated into a guaranteed livable income is that you've had studies that have been done by expert panels, such as out in BC, that have determined that you can't possibly have a universal program that could address all the social issues in a community and a society. Essentially, you can't just use a one-size-fits-all approach to tackle such complex issues. So I'm just wondering, what is your response to that? What is your response to those expert panels that just say that what you're promising from these sorts of programs, you just won't be able to deliver it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say they're right. One size fits all fits almost no one at all, and that is not at all what is being proposed. First, let me say that for everything that I mentioned today, we are going to be providing a greater detail. We really pride ourselves in being an evidence-informed party. We consult with the leading experts and stakeholders before we formulate any of our policies, which is why so many of them, as I said, over time show their value and proof of concept, because they really are based in best practices and best knowledge. So we will be talking more about guaranteed livable income. But let me say, there was never and has never been amongst those who are proponents of GLI any suggestion that this is going to be a replacement for all of the other social programs that exist. That is absolutely not what is being proposed at all, and I think that that was a fundamental misunderstanding by the BC professors who put together that report. This is intended to be the net, the thing that people can count on when other things fail and when they cannot be served by existing social programs, because we see that they can't. This is something that is going to eliminate the stigma that is associated with so many social programs right now. This is the thing that is going to allow us to confront other big challenges, like the future of work that is being caused by automation and artificial intelligence, like the transition away from fossil fuels. It's the thing that will let people breathe and have confidence to make choices about their lives and taking care of loved ones in times of need. So this is absolutely part of the package that needs to emerge from the pandemic, and I'm very excited to share more information with people about it, but it absolutely is not intended and would never be designed in a way to leave anyone worse off than they are now.
Thank you so much. We'll now hand it over to Rosie Emery, Press Secretary for the Green Party of Canada.
Yes, we have a question here. On a une question de Vincent Gosselin de Radio VM. Allez-y, Vincent, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Bonjour, Madame Paul.
Bonjour.
J'aimerais entendre en français votre position sur la vaccination obligatoire pour les fonctionnaires fédéraux. Et dans un cas où un fonctionnaire refuse de se faire vacciner, pour vous, quelles devraient être les conséquences appliquées par le gouvernement fédéral?
Oui, merci pour la question. En fait, nous avons préparé une déclaration aujourd'hui qui est disponible sur notre site web. Comme j'ai dit hier et le jour avant hier, la question des vaccinations pour les fonctionnaires ou pour les autres employés d'ailleurs, c'est une question très importante, c'est une question qui vaut une considération importante. Tout d'abord, je veux dire que les vaccinations sont essentielles. Ils ont fait preuve d'être une partie clé de notre lutte contre la pandémie. On encourage chaque personne qui peut avoir une vaccination de l'avoir le plus tôt possible, parce qu'on sait qu'on a une quatrième vague. On doit assurer que la quatrième vague est la dernière vague, et les vaccins font une partie clé de ça. Mais on sait aussi qu'il y a des gens, pour des raisons de santé, pour des raisons culturelles, pour des raisons religieuses, qui continuent d'hésiter. ou même refusent d'avoir les vaccins. Et on sait très bien qu'une politique créée par le gouvernement fédéral pour les fonctionnaires fédéraux doit respecter les droits fondamentaux des fonctionnaires et doit trouver une manière de protéger tous les travailleurs et travailleuses au même moment de ne pas violer ces droits fondamentaux. Le Premier ministre le sait, bon, M. Trudeau le sait très bien aussi. Alors, nous, on attend de voir les détails. Je crois que c'est clair de ce qui a été publié l'autre jour que le gouvernement fédéral va préparer un plan qui inclut les vaccinations et une demande que les fonctionnaires soient vaccinés, mais au même moment, une alternative pour les gens qui ne peuvent pas ou ne veulent pas pour des raisons culturelles, religieuses, etc., à se vacciner.
En suivi. J'aimerais savoir plus précisément, là, parce que le chef du NPD aujourd'hui a laissé entendre qu'un fonctionnaire pourrait ne pas pouvoir travailler s'il refuse de se faire vacciner. Êtes-vous prêt à aller jusque-là? Quelles conséquences directes il devrait y avoir?
C'est une très intéressante question et position en fait parce que il y a des accords collectifs, il y a des syndicats. C'est pas vraiment pour Monsieur Singh ou les autres partis de dire ça. C'est une conversation entre les syndicats et le gouvernement. Alors pour nous, comme j'ai dit, je suis tellement déçue que le gouvernement a clairement décidé d'essayer de créer un enjeu pour ces élections, qu'on on devrait concentrer sur comment nous allons créer le meilleur politique pour les fonctionnaires et les autres employés, le plus sûr et le plus sécuritaire. On sait très bien qu'il y aura des exceptions pour une raison ou d'autre, même pour des exceptions médicaux. Alors, il faut avoir une alternative. On sait aussi qu'il y a des droits fondamentaux qui sont en jeu. On sait aussi qu'il y a des personnes, même dans une communauté comme ceci, en Moss Park, qui font partie des communautés qui, historiquement, ont eu des très relations avec le système de santé. Et ils hésitent. Alors, est-ce que nous allons les éduquer, les encourager, leur donner des raisons pour se faire vacciner, ou est-ce que nous allons les punir? Moi, je sais que c'est sûr que n'importe quelle politique acceptée par les syndicats, surtout par les syndicats, va être une politique qui doit respecter les droits fondamentaux des fonctionnaires.
Merci, Madame Paul. Merci, Vincent. Are there any other questions online? Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions sur Zoom? Non, je ne crois pas.
Before we go then, let me just introduce to you Phil DeLuna. Phil DeLuna is our candidate in Toronto St. Paul's, and a shining example of what we hope to bring to Ottawa in terms of Green MPs. Phil was the youngest ever director at the National Research Council, and if elected, he would be the first Filipino man from Ontario sent to our parliament. He took 6 months off in order to present himself as our candidate. He is an extraordinary person, an incredibly thoughtful person with groundbreaking ideas, particularly around the climate. And so, as I said before, take a look and see who's running in your community for the Greens. I think you'll find someone extraordinary, someone incredibly committed to the community, and that would be a compelling voice for your community in Ottawa. Yay, Phil! You know, if you're going to be back there, let's, Rosie, back to you.
We don't have any more questions in the Zoom room, so I'm handing it back to Victoria.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Paul. Merci à tout le monde pour venir.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us today. That concludes our press conference with the leader of the Green Party of Canada, Annamie Paul.
Recording stopped.